Welcome, everybody, to episode 51 of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I am one of your hosts, Zach Matscanis, alongside the only man I want to share a couch with, Javier Ortiz.
Is that true? Is that
Maybe.
true?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll see. The future has many secrets. So we'll see what happens with that statement.
We will see indeed. So how's it going?
You know, just...
That is so great.
Yep.
Don't forget, everybody, be sure to check us out all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify.
All the podcast services.
And, yeah, pretty much all of them.
And
Every
YouTube.
single one. I said YouTube.
Yeah, that one too.
We are also at Patreon, at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us, I like clams, so I'm going to stick with clams.
Throw us the
You can
clams.
throw us a couple clams
Some shells.
and get some sweet bonus episodes every single month. Once again, Hav, how you doing?
You know,
Hanging in there?
it doesn't matter.
It does not matter, indeed.
It really doesn't.
Moving on.
Let's talk about the show.
Let's talk video games.
Yep.
Let's talk good video games. Let's talk about video games selling well.
Some of
Let's
them
talk
are
about,
good.
Let's talk
Actually,
about systems.
most of them are really good.
Yeah. So we're gonna start off with some MPD stuff. For this.
Yeah. Not too much else really to talk about.
Yeah,
So
we're still kind of in the summer month.
yeah, everyone's on
summer
vacation.
months. Everybody's on vacation, including video games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Including video game news.
Yeah.
But there's some little tidbits here and there.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you the MPD numbers kind of surprised me with the number one system, but in terms of sales, this is for June. Just came out.
Yeah, and just so if you are or are not aware, MPD is basically the it's the group that sort of follows video game sales numbers and systems
Right.
and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And this is for June because it's sort of like
It's like a month. Yeah,
Right.
It's gotta
but
do
they're
all
fun
that.
they're fun to talk about.
They
So
are.
Let's
They
get
are.
into it.
So June, Mario Tennis Aces number one game sold in June 2018. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Big debut, had a big demo, even though maybe thought some people were like, not that great
Yeah.
in terms of online structure. But that'll change because Nintendo's online structure is going to change everything. It's
It's going
like,
to change the
it's
world.
the godsend that everyone's waiting for in terms of if you're a Nintendo fan,
Right.
especially a Switch fan. But yeah, that's number one. Number two, God of War. Obviously, it's still a huge game. It's still a big console seller. Sony's probably Game of the Year candidate right now in terms of what they've released.
Right.
And then number three, which is crazy to think of, GTA 5.
GTA 5, man.
It will never die.
That game will not die.
It will never die.
Not only will it not die, it's thriving. It is literally thriving. So I think it was the MPD numbers for May. It was still sitting at like number 5 in the sales charts.
Probably.
It was.
Yeah.
I've been watching.
It's always a top 5 game.
Yeah, and it's something where it's like, okay, when's it going to start dropping in MPD numbers? And it bumped up too. It bumped up too.
I don't know. They just continue to support it.
Yeah.
They'll never stop supporting it because it just keeps making them money. In terms of Rockstar, Rockstar. It just
Not Rocksteady.
Yeah, not Rocksteady. That's later.
That's a whole other can of bats.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to think of that. This game that came out 6 years ago.
It was
5 years
2013.
ago? 2013, so 5 years ago, not 6. And it's still like a top 5 game literally every month of every year since its release. It's insane. Like I really want to know how much money just that game has generated.
Well, we
not just sales. I mean literally everything. Like all the money that it's generated.
Right.
So it's insane to think of it. Literally Rockstar can exist off of making a game every 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah. They had I can't remember the article now and the exact number, but if you remember, we were off air one day, and I was talking about how much money that game's probably made, and then an article came out, and I was really damn close.
Really?
I think it generated, I I mean, I think it was like $2 billion or something like that. That in revenue that game is. You can probably pull it up real quick, but I'm pretty positive that's the number, which is absolutely insane for like one game to kind of generate those kind of numbers.
Well, the first thing that popped up when I looked up sales number, it just tells me within 24 hours it made $800 million.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. It generated more than $800 million in worldwide revenue, and that's in the first day.
So them being over the 2 billion mark would be easy.
It makes sense. It's crazy to think of that game. It's just it keeps making money. It'll just never stop making all the money.
Do you think that Red Dead is going to come out and it's going to do anything to its sales?
To GTA sales? No, because all these games have come out and they haven't affected it. God of War came out, didn't affect it.
Well, they're very different games, though.
But still, like, I mean, there's no game that's come out that's, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, God of War,
but
all these games.
That's not a Rockstar open world game.
You're right.
With a crazy online experience.
You're right, but it has the fact that nothing is like
nothing
knocks it out of a top 5. I don't know if it's ever not been a top 5 game. That'd be interesting to look up. I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't know how you'd find that now.
Yeah.
I guess you could go to like MPD's website and look through each month.
But still, it's just crazy to think of it's always a top 5 game.
Yeah. So a couple things I wanted to kind of talk about within all of this, within our MPD world of sales numbers. So. Kind of starting, let's kind of start with the top of the list, and we'll sort of work our way down a little bit, and we'll talk about all this a little bit until we get tired and want to move on.
Okay.
So first of all, Mario Tennis Aces. Obviously, it's in a month that it's kind of slow. There's not too much going on in these summer months.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty impressive to see a Nintendo Switch. Exclusive that first of just so everybody's aware, MPD doesn't track the digital sales for Nintendo's consoles.
Right, these are just physical copies.
Exactly. Which there's some companies and some games that they do track the digital sales of, but Nintendo's definitely not one of them.
Right.
So the fact that it was number 1 in the sales charts, and it's an exclusive for a console that has I think they're around like 2.2 million systems sold now. Something right in there for the Switch.
I thought it was a lot more than that.
No.
Let me see.
It's it's not not 20 20.2 million.
I was going to say it's definitely not 2.
Yeah, no, sorry, my brain
that's way too low.
My brain wasn't braining.
Yeah.
Like 20.2 million.
I've just pulled up the Switch sold 17.8 million units in 1 year, so it's definitely near 20.
Yeah, I think it's right around there if I'm not mistaken.
Not 2.
So yeah, definitely more than 2. It's doing a little better than that. Yeah. So it's like you think about this console that has sold like around 20-ish million units versus something like the PS4 that's in the hundreds of millions now. And the fact that like a Switch console exclusive can just still be the best-selling game for the month is pretty like incredible. Like it just shows you what Nintendo IPs can do. Like they can just hold their own every time. Like I know Mario Kart is still up there.
Yeah,
it's like number 8 or something like
number
that.
6.
Number 6. Yeah, it's just pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean it shows you how much Mario means to the world.
Yeah,
right? It's like a character. It's something that will never die. He's more than just Mario the character. It's like that is a brand that people love and will die for.
They really have built up the Nintendo franchises and the Nintendo IP characters very much like Disney did. Where it's just like you have this mascot Mario, just like Mickey Mouse, where it's just like everybody knows who Mario is.
Yeah.
they're building theme parks around them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
they've got all this merchandise around them.
Yeah, it's like the Coca-Cola symbol. Like you
Yeah.
can go around the world and everybody knows what Coca-Cola
Yeah,
is.
everybody knows Mario.
Yeah. But yeah, so I will say for top 5, Mario Tennis, God of War, GTA 5, The Crew 2, and Far Cry 5. And Mario Kart is 6, so right behind Far Cry.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that Mario Kart is right behind Far Cry. It's like, because I know Far Cry 5 is pretty popular. A lot of people seem to like it.
And it's also it's a game that's on several consoles.
Multiple platform. And the fact that Mario Kart is still right there with it.
Yeah.
It's insane to me, and that just shows either one, I know that there are lots of bundles with Switches where you get Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that counts. I'm assuming it would if you get a physical copy, I guess.
I think so.
I would say it has to. Because, I mean, the fact that it's still up there, and I know Mario Kart's a system seller.
Then again, a lot of those systems that are sold with like a game, it's a digital version of it.
That's true. Well, I mean, my Switch came with a physical copy.
But you had like a weird...
I did have a weird deal.
Yeah, that was like... You got it from GameStop, right?
Yeah.
Where they do like funky bundles, where it's just
Yeah.
like, hey, you looking for a Switch? Yeah, we got one, but you got to buy the bundle.
Yeah,
and it comes
yeah.
with an SD card, a game, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I came with 2 games. I got lucky.
Oh, it came with Zelda too, right?
Yeah, Zelda and Mario Kart. It was a pretty good one. I like that one. And I only paid like $400, I think.
Nice.
It's a crazy good deal. I've never seen it again after that. But anyway, so yeah, going on this Nintendo train of NPD numbers. June also had the release of the NES Classic,
Right.
as is confirmed thanks to WarioWare. The NES Classic, which was the top-selling system of June.
Which is also pretty
Impressive.
darn crazy.
It's
crazy.
It's really impressive. And it just, I think, one, like, I'm kind of surprised, but also not surprised because, the NES Classic released and everybody wanted one.
Right.
And Nintendo was like, let's just make a little bit. I'm sure not that many people will be interested. And they sold out like that.
Yeah, it's so funny. There was an interview with our boy Reggie Fils-Aimé.
My boy.
President of good old Nintendo America.
He's also the president of the Javier fan club, so much love, Reggie.
True that. So in that article, he basically, this was I think last year, or no, it might have even been 2016 when after the system first came out and everybody like couldn't find one. He basically had an interview with whoever the heck.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, and I'm going to paraphrase all this, obviously, where it's just like, they're like, yo, Reggie, my boy, where's the NES Classic?
Yeah.
And he was just like, we didn't know there'd be such a demand for this console. And it's just like, I'm going to look right in the lens. Reggie, Nintendo, I have said this on this podcast before. I don't remember what episode. There might have been about 12 of them.
Yeah, I think we've said it multiple times.
Just put your stuff out. People want it. it's like the NES Classic? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why would you have like 50 and that's it? It's like that console, like everybody wants that console. Even like, I mean, not just the hardcore fan base, like your parents, your grandma, your cat, your dog, everybody wants this old school console that they can just sort of like remember these old memories that they had playing it as a kid. Even if they don't play video games now, it's just one of those systems. Like my mom wanted to buy that console for my little nephew.
Yeah.
Because it was something where, obviously she didn't grow up with video games, but like obviously I grew up with video games.
Right,
it was
right.
something like she remembers me and my brothers, playing like the NES when we were little kids, and she thought it'd be cool to buy that console for my little nephew who was like 3 years old.
Yeah,
because that's when I started playing the NES.
Yeah.
And she couldn't find one. She went to Target, asked for one. The man laughed at her. The man laughed at my mother.
You naive woman.
Do you not know how Nintendo works? They hate money. They hate
Luckily, if we have 10 of them in the store at the same time.
Oh, they never do.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got mine at Target, they had 3.
Yeah.
They had 3 NES classics.
Yeah, it's insane.
And there were 50 people on that line.
Yeah. No, we've said it before. It's like it's not hard to make. You know, it's not like it requires a lot of manpower. It's this tiny little box.
Yeah, it's basically a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
With a cool little
with
shell.
A cool skin. Yeah. It's got a really nice NES shell or NES shell. But yeah,
DLC skin.
It's not difficult to make, and I never understood why it was so difficult for them to be like, I wonder if that'll make money. I don't know.
It's absolutely insane. Just Nintendo, for the love of God, just understand like your fan base. Understand like they seem so backwards sometimes. They're always like 2 steps forward, like 5 steps back.
Yeah.
80% of the time, where
they
this is like a mini hot take, by the way. But it has always like boggled my mind. Where it's just, I think about things like even like Mario Tennis. And it's just like that game's a lot of fun. Like the mechanics are sound.
Mm-hmm.
There's some cool things with it. Nintendo, get your online infrastructure figured out. Figure it out.
Yeah, it's 2018. It's
2018.
Like, online should not be this difficult.
And despite all the weird setbacks with like the NES Classic, like the short controllers, not being able to download other games, the supply of the system, and it's still the best-selling system of June.
It just shows everybody wants it. It's not the best-selling in terms of dollars, just because it's like a third of the price of anything else in the market.
Right. Well,
but in terms of units sold,
I don't know, because it's one of those things. That system absolutely doesn't cost any money to make.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why it's not number one in money made for units sold. It's number one in units sold. But that's what I'm saying.
It could be, because we don't know how much it costs to make like a PS4.
In terms of Nintendo. Oh, yeah.
It could cost them, or even like the Switch and stuff. It could cost Nintendo $250 to make a Switch. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah, no, the NES it probably takes about $10.
That's probably a nickel.
Yeah, it's like I think the most expensive part is probably the HDMI ports. Like honestly,
and that's still probably 2 cents.
Yeah, like it's just really nothing much else about that thing that's complicated.
The most expensive part was just putting
the shell.
It's just like designing that super clever shell, and then sort of like.
Is it clever? It's just a tiny NES.
Yeah, NES. But it's one of those things where, well, actually, I bet the most expensive part was sort of redesigning the controller, because you got to think the controller, it had to feel like an old school NES controller, but parts are different than they were 30 years ago. Different plastics and springs and all this nonsense. I'm talking like I know anything about manufacturing.
Yeah.
There's like some springs.
There's some screws.
There's like maybe a couple screws. But it's one of those things like you had to get that to feel exactly right. But you had to do it 30-some years later. So I bet that was probably the most expensive thing, and even that probably didn't cost too much. I think what are they, $10, $20 for
a controller?
For a second controller?
I think it's 15.
$15,
something like that.
Something in there. So it's like it probably cost them $5.
Oh, it's nothing. It literally. All right, so let's say $20 to make that thing at most. $20, because I mean it's not hard to get all their games.
So make it $40 a system.
Yeah, and they sold. It doesn't have an exact number, but it did top the charts in terms of systems sold.
Yeah.
And a fun little fact. It's the first time a Nintendo has been number one since MPD started tracking these numbers in '95.
For the NES.
Right. Well, I mean, for that system.
Right.
Not for Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing to see, like, and honestly, it's like, they should have known this right from the get-go. Like, it's not difficult to figure this out. It's like, we released this little thing. It instantly sells out.
Yeah.
Should we make more Miyamoto? It's like Reggie and Miyamoto are just talking. Should we make more? I don't know. I guess we could. I mean, we could just make free money.
It's absolutely like, if I was Nintendo, if I was Frank Nintendo himself, heir to the Nintendo fortune.
Yeah, no, that's who it is.
Like I would just put out an announcement like, "Yo, world. We're going to make this NES Classic. It's going to be dope. It's going to have these 30 games on it. It's going to come out in 2 years' time, or a year and a half, or a year, whatever it takes to like manufacture a certain amount, and basically be like, put in a pre-order, and you pay for this up front. We promise it's gonna be dope because we're Nintendo. We make dope things. Just put in a pre-order so we know exactly how many we need to make, and then just start cranking them out. And be like, you might not get the first batch, but it's like eventually you're gonna get, your NES Classic.
Yeah.
Instead of just throwing out a vague number of NES Classics in the world, not telling anybody how many are made, or like it's just people would just they would just stand outside of Target like me.
That's true.
I had like a hot tip that the Target I went to was going to have like 2 or 3 consoles, like just this vague number on a vague day, and it was just like, just be there.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're there. And I was like, sweet. And I went there. I waited all night, and then in the morning, like I said, there was like 50 people in line that all got the same like hot tip. And it's just like, we got like 2 or 3. It's just like,
which is just, it makes no sense. Like, it also doesn't make sense that you give a store 2 systems.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, that little thing. I go to Urban Outfitters, they got the little Sega Genesis thing, the classics.
Oh, those things are all over the place.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know in terms of, they probably don't sell that well. But still, you imagine.
It's not an NES.
It's not a Nintendo. I mean, you have beloved games, some of the best games ever made on a little console. Why wouldn't it sell instantly? It's stupid.
Yeah.
Nintendo logic is it's its
Nintendo
own
logic,
thing, that's for sure.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
But they're doing well. It's like the NES is doing great. I bet the SNES is doing pretty well.
I'm sure it is.
The Switch is doing well. It's nice and healthy. The 3DS is doing well.
Is it?
I think so. They keep cranking out stuff for it.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell me it's doing well. That just means to me, that's like, it's so easy for them to make because they keep cranking out a new version every other month. There's a new...
And they would stop if they weren't selling.
I guess. It's just, it's crazy. Like, there's so many different 3DSs and 2DSs and XLs and SLs.
Yeah, it's just... If I tried to collect all of them, I'd go bankrupt.
Oh, yeah, no, it's my paycheck. Like, if I took one paycheck, and I probably still wouldn't be able to cover every single 3DS and 2DS ever made. It's insane. Yeah, and I know that once they do their N64 Classic, hopefully, the hindsight they have is like, all right, this is going to be huge. Because an N64 Classic, I mean, they were...
I bet it'll do well, but I don't think it'll do numbers like the NES and SNES will.
I think it will. I think it will because there is a generation of students who went to college where that was like the only thing they played.
Oh, yeah,
in
for
college.
sure.
And they'll get it just for that. They'll be like, oh my God, 64 Smash, I used to be the best at that.
But see, you're starting to get to the era where, like the people that grew up with it are nostalgic about it, they'll be there and they'll buy it. Mm-hmm. But it's not like Mario Brothers. It's not like the original Mario Brothers. It's not the original
64.
Zelda. But it's
one of the greatest games ever made. But it's got 2 of the greatest games ever made.
But everybody knows the NES. And everybody kind of knows the SNES too, where it's just, once you get to the world of 3D, your grandma ain't touching that. Your mom ain't touching that.
I don't know, man.
I could probably, I would put money on my mom knowing like 10 games on the NES.
Right.
But the N64, she doesn't know what's going on there. It's weird 3D people.
That's true. I mean, the older generation will get it. But I don't know, man. Like, people our age and a little bit older than us, they have kids, and they'll get one for themselves and their kid and be like, this is what we had.
Like I said, it'll do well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll do like NES numbers,
Well, we'll see. There's only one way to find out. Nintendo.
Nintendo,
please release
get on it.
Many of them. Don't release 2 per store. That's...
anything else interesting within the MPD?
For MPDs? Not really. I mean, Fortnite's still doing really well, which I think is pretty obvious.
Right.
We can go over best for year-to-date so far, like top 10 best games year-to-date.
Yeah, let's do it.
So 2018, we're in August now.
Yeah.
So best game so far.
Yeah, we're over the hump.
Well, don't look. What do you think number 1 is?
Number 1, I bet... If it's not number 1, it's probably pretty darn close. I bet Destiny 2's up there. I bet. What's that Tom Clancy game? Wild something.
Wild Man.
Wild Man.
Well, I'm gonna stop you right there. You're wrong on both counts. Destiny 2's not even up there. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Now, according to this is Forbes. I'm assuming their fact checking is correct for Forbes.
Okay.
So best-selling games year to date. Number 1, Far Cry 5.
Cool.
Multi-platform, makes sense. It's a big title. A lot of people love that game. Number 2, God of War.
Nice.
Which is crazy to think of. It's only been out for 3 months.
Yeah.
Something
And
like
it's
that.
also a console exclusive.
Console exclusive.
Single-player game.
Yeah. Third is Monster Hunter World. Big release. A lot of people love that game. Call of Duty World War II is number 4. Number 5 is Dragon Ball FighterZ, which I think is really cool. Like, a fighting game.
Yeah.
A really good, beautiful fighting game, by the way.
DBZ fighting game
Yeah.
too, not like a Street Fighter or something, like something that's like an IP that's like 20 years old, 30 years old.
and it's it's a fighting game. And I don't think fighting games usually do all that well. In the day and age we live in now,
they do like 1 million or 2.
Yeah, like I know there is a dedicated audience for fighting games, and like there are huge tournaments, but like in terms of like the grand scale of things,
right,
they're usually not the biggest ones. Number 6, GTA 5. I mean, GTA 5 is still a top 10 game.
Lord.
It's just it won't die.
It just cranks money out.
Number 7, Mario Kart 8. System seller. I mean, I'm assuming that has to be included with bundles. There are tons of Mario Kart 8 Switch bundles, so makes sense. Number 8, NBA 2K18, big basketball release. Everybody loves that one. Number 9, I think, is weird. MLB 18, the show. I'm surprised that's not FIFA. Like I would think FIFA would be there before MLB, but apparently people like baseball games.
Yeah. Once again, console exclusive, PS4.
Is it? MLB 18, the show.
Yeah, that's made by Sony Santa Monica. Like that's,
no.
Yeah.
What?
Every year, baby.
Are you serious? Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's MLB will never be on an Xbox platform.
Really? What?
Really?
Are you? Hold on, I gotta look this up right now just to fact check you. Oh my God, PlayStation 4. It's a Sony Interact. Wow, I did not know that. They have an exclusive deal with baseball.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you are a baseball lover, an enthusiast, you can't own an Xbox. You gotta you can, but you're not playing an MLB game.
That's crazy.
You have to. It's like I said. It's like a Sony.
What's MLB the show? Are there any other MLB games? Really?
Nope.
Wow,
Nope.
that's insane. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just
fun fact.
Yeah, and just a shout out to like Ryan McCaffrey, who kind of with IGN, because he talks about that a lot too. Where it's for like Xbox to get an MLB game, you need one of these companies like from the ground up to like build an MLB game, and it's just not going to happen. You'd have to invest so much money.
Yeah,
and it's just like the show every year. It's a extremely good quality baseball sim.
Yeah.
That it sells really well, and it's just. They just kind of do their own thing.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I did not know that it was a Sony exclusive.
Yeah,
wow.
and like
pretty interesting.
And kind of a shout out to that series in general, because it's one of those games. Like you think about stuff like Madden that has like no competition, and it's just like, well, there's a lot of things they could kind of do better, but there's no competition, so they just do what they need to do, and that's about it. But it's like it seems like the show is always like that game looks really damn pretty. I don't really play those games, but everybody that I know that does play those kind of games, I mean, they talk about it in such high regard. It's like well reviewed every year. It always sells well every year, and it's just they just crush it every year.
Did not know that that's a Sony game. That's interesting. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And then number 10, which it kind of surprised me, to be honest, but Super Mario Odyssey.
Nice.
That's still a top 10 game being sold this year. I thought it would have died down, like past that, but pretty interesting. It's still top 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about the sales numbers. You threw them at me for a moment, and I became like an idiot and forgot dates. And it's like, oh wait, Destiny 2 and Wildlands were both last year. It's kind of crazy to like.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's dude. Time just like flies by, and I just forget when things happen.
Forget about calendars.
Yeah.
Your phone tells you the date every
dates.
time you open it.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell me when Destiny 2 and Wildlands
That's true.
came out.
It doesn't. But yeah, so big MPD numbers. I don't know if you want to keep going on about it, but we can move on. I got something else we want to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about some other things.
So Dead Cells.
Ah, yes,
We
Dead
talked
Cells.
about that last week
Talk about
or the week before.
Yeah, talk about money and sales and all that fun stuff.
Let's talk about Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Get it? Get it?
Yeah, we I think we talked about it two weeks ago.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I remember because it was the first time I saw the trailer, and it is, oh God, it is such
It's getting really good reviews too.
Yeah, that's what I saw. IGN gave it like a 9.7, I think.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's amazing. I mean, I just want to say I called it. I mean, it looked really good. I was just saying it looks like a really cool Metroidvania, roguelike action, like beautiful pixel art. It just looks it looks like a really good game. You can tell as soon as you see something, right? But an interesting article that you showed me about Motion Twin, the developers. So apparently, in their business, it's a French studio, by the way.
No, I'm just kidding.
They have their business model is really interesting, where it is everyone there makes the same amount of money and has an equal say into what they do.
Yeah, and it's I think it's a studio of 13 people, if I'm not mistaken.
That I'm not sure of.
I'm pretty sure that's right, if I remember that article correctly. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. That article with an interview with those guys, it came out like I think it was like like July 27th or something. So it's like a few days old by this point, but it's something I wanted to bring up and talk about for a few minutes, just because so the entertainment industry, as both you and I know a little bit about, so we're kind of in that world, more like kind of on the film side, movie industry side of things, and then we sort of look through this window at like the video game world and the video game industry, and a lot of what you see within the entertainment industry, whether it's movies, whether it's video games, or I mean music's kind of like that. I mean, it's all sort of within entertainment, which is kind of a dream job for a lot of people.
Sure.
People are taken advantage of, and
all the time.
All the time.
Yep.
I look at like movie studios that have interns that are free, unpaid internships.
Oh, it's free labor. Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? You make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Pay that man.
Yeah. There's also like the controversy of the movie, the Seth Rogen, I think it's called Sausage Party or something. It's the one with the sausages.
Yeah.
Where like a bunch of animators were worked like crazy shifts, like multiple days in a row working, and they did not get compensated at all.
Yeah.
They kind of got swept under the rug until the story blew up, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is just it's like slavery." Basically.
Yeah, and I don't want to like I don't want to say who it is, what the company is, but I worked with a production company that works a lot with a certain television station, cable station, and I busted my butt for this company, and I never got my last paycheck. And this company makes so much money. And it's just like, yo, out of all the people, I thought you would pay me.
Yeah.
And they stiffed me on this money. And I know a couple other people that got stiffed on money from them. And like they had like bounced checks and stuff from them. It's like, what is going on over there?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that's like within the entertainment industry, just people are taken advantage of. People aren't paid fair wages a lot of times.
Sometimes not paid at all.
Or paid at all. People are just worked overtime. And it's because, people just, they want to create stuff. You have these people that they're artists, whether you're a filmmaker, a game designer, a level designer, whatever you are, you're an artist. Yep. And you want to do what you love, but then just these people at the top, they just pull everything out of you. They just take your soul, and it's because they can cut themselves a fat paycheck, and they pay you whatever they need to, and then a lot of times they just lay off people in these studios like after some of these.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
big, these big projects.
And they'll get like bonuses if things are made on time, and you know their deadlines and stuff. And typically the head honchos will make more in terms of bonus money. Happens a lot in the movie industry.
So it happens just all over the entertainment industry, and it's so unfortunate to see because it's something where I feel like, whether it's movies, video games, anything, it's something where I like to. I'd like to just see more of a world where it's just like, nobody needs to make $20 million on something. Like an actor doesn't need to make $20 million. A director doesn't need to just, or a producer or whatever, doesn't need to rake in all this money. It's like, split that up. It's like everybody is like busting their butt to make something so awesome and magical and amazing. And I feel like so many people are just treated like, just an asset they can throw away. Yeah. So to kind of read something about Motion Twin, right?
Yeah, Motion Twin.
So to read an article about Motion Twin where they're like, we're equal pay. Some of us have been here a long time. Some of us are newbies, but everybody gets paid the same, and everybody has an equal say in the company.
Yeah. I'll pull out the exact quote of what they say.
Yeah, let's hear it.
The devs and the artists are paid the same amount of money, and people like me who have been here for 17 years are paid the same amount as people who were recruited last year. And that's being said by Dead Cells designer Sebastian Bernard.
So a big old shout out to Sebastian Bernard, because that's amazing to hear. It's something where it's like I want to support a company like that. And I was probably going to buy that game anyways because it looks dope. Yeah. But now I'm definitely going to buy it just to support a company like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a very noble aspect.
Yeah.
Especially if, I would assume this team has to be relatively small because, once things expand and get large, money always gets complicated.
Yeah, and they mention in the article less about the money thing, but more just about the kind of democratic vote that they have. That they've had more people before, and it becomes a little problematic with kind of the democratic vote.
Right.
So they're trying to keep their team like under 15 people at all times.
Yeah. It makes more sense to do it that way, to keep it like that, so that things can stay fair for everybody.
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things. Less about the democratic vote kind of thing, which I think is awesome, and it's something that's it's very impressive. You think about like you're with a company for 17 years, and you get this new guy that comes in, and he's got the same say as you as far as like how you run your company.
Yeah,
it's like that takes a lot to.
It takes a lot of humility.
Yeah,
because you no one there can be full themselves. No one can be greedy. No one can say maybe some people can spearhead responsibility and be like, I want to have more control, but to do that and still be okay with making the same amount of money as everybody else, it's pretty amazing, really. It's because obviously you don't want to be taken advantage of for your amount of work that you do. So I would really be interested in seeing like how their workflow goes. Yeah. Because obviously, no matter what type of project you're working on with people, there's always going to be somebody, a go-getter who wants to do more, who wants to get stuff done more, faster, whatever. So and that just comes down to people, what kind of people they are. So it'd be really interesting to see like the interview process, to see what they look for in people, to see how their workflow happens, what a day at Motion Twin is like really interesting.
Yeah,
to see
they
what
talk
that's
about
like.
it a little bit in that article, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the things they talk about. Things like, obviously overtime and, crunch time is like such a big thing in the industry.
Right.
And something that, it's just inevitable. It's like if you take like a day and it's like, I really want to just crank this out, get this done, and you work like a super long day, the guys in Motion Twin, they understand that, and then like the next day they're like, come in later or don't come in.
Right.
If they see somebody that's just like beyond tired, they're like, just go home.
Yeah.
It's like it's important to them to just like keep their minds
it's true.
Not mush.
Yeah, that's honestly like you want more of that in any company you work for.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Like at my job, I've done crazy shifts.
I've seen.
Yeah, I've done crazy overtime shifts, and like, I've gotten emails the next morning saying, hey, like, don't, like, your normal start time, just come in like a few hours later. Like, whatever, it's fine. Like, you worked like 18 hours yesterday. Don't rush to come in. So it's nice when companies feel that way, and they treat their employees like human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, which is really nice. So it's just a cool anarcho-syndical. That's what the word is that they use. I'm not very good at pronunciation, but whatever it means.
Billy schools.
It seems nice. It says that in practical terms, all of its 11 workers are equal. So, again, that kind of stuff, it's a lot easier to accomplish, a lot more reasonable when it's a smaller team, which is nice, though. I mean, it's how it should be. Because, I mean, with that amount of people, like, I would assume everybody's working as hard as they can to make a great game like Dead Cells, which is obviously a great game. So it seems like they're all putting their time, they're all putting their work. So it's nice to see that, like, they're all equal.
Yeah,
in that
so it's
company.
So I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit and just give kind of a big shout out to Motion Twin for for just having a system like that. It's super impressive.
Yeah, in a world where deadlines are super important and it always comes down to money, and companies are always trying to make as much as they can, and even if it means exploiting customers and employees, like,
and individuals are trying to make as much as they can.
Yeah,
it's just that you got the people at the top that always they want to make a lot of money, and they can do that by just not paying the people at the bottom.
And then cut you off as soon as you're done.
Like
you're done. See ya. Thanks for the hard work.
It's all about that bottom line, getting them bonuses, all that. So it's refreshing to see something like that within this entertainment world that we live in.
Yeah. It's definitely nice. I will say a big support player of the week if we can nominate them for treating their employees right and having what seems to be a pretty solid team, like a great team that everyone seems to be on the same page. Everyone's on board with how it's being run, and there's no problem. So, kudos to you, beautiful French people. We love it.
Cool. All right, so we have a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
So, So I guess we should dive into some backlog. Right?
Yeah. We've both been playing some games, some older games. If you want to start it off.
Time for the backlog. Okay. Okay. So, as far as backlog goes, I have been playing Deus Ex: Mankind Divided.
I have that game downloaded. I have not played it yet.
Yeah. Did you play the original?
No.
For the PS3,
Nope.
360?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I say original within like the newer games. They were Deus Ex games for like the PC.
On PC, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But kind of within these couple new games. It's like the new Tomb Raider series.
Right.
So it's a good game, but
That's good.
I would say this game is like a solid 7.
All right, nothing wrong with that.
I would say like, if it were to like come out today, it'd be like, it's all right, And I feel like it's probably about the same as when it came out like 2 or 3 years ago. It's a solid 7. So basically,
I've gotten that reaction from many ladies. Solid 7. You're not too great. You're not that bad. Just solid.
I accept that.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So like Deus Ex is a series. This like kind of futuristic series of augmented people and the struggles with that. There's like a lot of sort of racism going on with like augmented people in this world and there's a lot of problems going on. It's like there's like augmented terrorist attacks and all this stuff that sort of happens within this world, and you're this augmented dude that goes around. You're basically this like cop guy, and you're like,
sounds a lot like Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's sort of within that vein in a lot of ways. And I honestly think the worst part about that game is it's very video gamey, and that's
is that a bad thing?
I think so. in a game like this, I think so, because they're trying to do all this this serious stuff, like, you know, you're this cop, you're trying to like help people and do all these things, but you can literally just murder anybody in that game. It's like you could walk.
Pulls you right out.
Yeah, like I straight up, like I walked out of my apartment at the very beginning of the game, and I killed everybody in my apartment complex, just for funsies.
Sure.
And
as one does.
And then you could just keep going and still just, you're like, yeah, I'm a cop and I'm trying to do the right thing and help people. It's like, you just murdered all these people. Which, if you want to have that game, that's fine, have that game.
Yeah.
But you can't have both, you know?
Sure,
you
sure.
Like,
makes sense.
It's like you never. There's no like. There's no meters like some like Infamous or something like that where it's just, you can become a good guy or bad guy. It's like, no, you're just kind of murdering people.
Yeah, you just do whatever you want with no consequences. Yeah.
And in the game, like it's like an open sandbox where you can kind of. It's sort of like Dishonored, where there's different kind of hub worlds that are sandboxes, and then you can do anything you want in any order within that. And that's sort of my favorite part about that game is just doing that. But then it's also kind of contradicts everything else that's sort of going on. Where a perfect example is literally last night I was playing the game, and this sort of this area opened up on my map, and I was like exploring it. It's like this like red light district kind of place, and there's just like this area where it's just like these bad guys are like at this door and it's like, yo, you can't come in here, and it's like, I'm gonna go in there. So I snuck around the back. I went into this like area that this crime syndicate was sort of in control of. I took out everybody in this whole place, and then I get really far down into this like one area, and there's just this bad dude with like an actual name, you know, like it's not just like bad guy number 4. It's just it's like a dude with a name. He's talked about a lot in the game. He's like the head of like this mob syndicate. I was like, oh, this guy's here. I'm gonna kill him. So I killed that dude, and then I left. Just a pile of bodies behind me. 5 minutes later, I go and I do a mission, and they're talking. My character's talking. Jensen. Oh, I can't remember Jensen's last name. But he's talking like that dude's still alive, and I've never met him. And it's just like, you know,
there are flaws in the like kind of plot holes.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, if you gotta like structure your game in a way where it's like, if you're gonna let me kill him,
you've got to account for that.
Yeah. And there's just missions where it's like, I already did all that, because the first thing I do in that game is I just explore and I do everything I can before I go and I do a mission. And then my character Jensen talks like he's like, oh, I need to go break into this house and find this stuff. It's like, I already did that.
Yeah.
And then like the one asset that you need like just magically appears in that place you've already been, and then you go and you just pick up that thing.
And you just leave,
yeah. And it's just, I wish that game, I don't care about the story. It's okay, but it's not great. The main character's not very good. He's sort of a wet blanket of a character. And he just kind of talks like this forever. And it's just like,
generic McGruff voice.
He's just kind of like a dude. And I honestly just wish that game just, it did, like, it just had fun with what it was. Like, I think it, like,
embrace the silliness.
Yeah, you know, I think it'd be hilarious where it's like you go and you do a story mission, and with air quotes, and it's just like, yo, you got to go and kill this guy. It's like, psh, I already did that. It's like, what?
Didn't you hear? He's dead already.
Well, you got to go and break into that house and find this thing. It's like, pff, I did that weeks ago. It's just like, what? How did you know to do that?
There's nothing left for you to do then.
But I do, like, I loved kind of exploring that world. Being, like, I think that I would love to have a game where you're just like a weird, like, kind of creepy dude. Yeah. And you're just like, you just start breaking into people's houses and snooping around. Like, I love just hacking into people's laptops and like reading their emails and stuff. And there's tons of just emails of just people talking about nonsense. And it's like, I love just going into like literally just breaking into an apartment. I don't know who this person is. They got a bunch of cat stuff all over the walls. Apparently, this person likes cats.
Yeah.
And just like reading this person's emails and breaking
invading
into
their
their
privacy.
safe. Yeah, it's just like I want that as a game.
Right.
And that's the whole game. And there was like there's a bank that just like I was walking by. It's like, oh, it's a bank that just what they do is they hold people's like private stuff. It's not like a bank, but you know they
like information or
yeah, information and stuff like that. And it's like I'm gonna go break into this
hack
bank.
the system.
Yeah, and so I snooped through this whole bank. You know, there's like several levels to it. It was a lot of work. That was like a whole night of me just snooping through this place.
Right.
And I was just like breaking into all these safes and looking at people's stuff, and I just was like knocking
just invading
out.
privacy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it's like I just want that as a game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like the game's fine. It's got its problems, but the snooping's fun.
Well, it
Let me
seems
just
like the
snoop.
open worldness seems kind of fun. Like ignoring the
Yeah.
story, everything else about it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do this in my kind of final playthrough of the game, but I like just knocking out. I just like killing everybody in the world.
Right.
Like all the NPCs, just normal people. Like just to walk through the game on the last one, Human Revolution. If you walk through my cities, there's nobody. They're all dead.
Everyone's dead.
They're just people, just bodies laying everywhere.
Yeah.
It's you walk into the police station that game, and it's like, yo, what happened? It's just hilarious.
I had a buddy of mine back home where when he ever played GTA or Red Dead, that was the first thing he did. Just murder everybody.
Yeah, you know, it's obviously that's not me in real life, but it's fun to just do that in a goofy game.
It's a fantasy world. You do
Yeah,
whatever you want. There's no
just like
consequences to
having
your
fun.
actions.
That's what you think. There's probably cops at the door right now.
Oh, there are. I called them.
Yeah. So I sort of went on a tangent
Yeah.
with that for a little bit. But
Yeah, we're getting close to the time now.
Yeah. So
but I will say something I've been playing. I played it already before,
Yeah.
but just quickly, I restarted because I've been reading DC Comics recently. I've been really wanting to read, and a lot of DC Rebirth. It was really good stuff, by the way. So I started playing Arkham Knight again, and God, man, that game it's so nice to look at for a game that was pretty early in the PS4's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
God, it's a pretty game.
It is. It's beautiful. I mean, it's fun. It's like, you know, the combat is still smooth, and I still like the story and, like, you know, following the events of Arkham City. I really enjoy that game. The world. I've always liked the Arkham world.
Yeah.
Now, this will be like a hot take as well.
Hot take.
A very old hot take. Rocksteady. I know it's been years, but I'm still not over this Batmobile nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, this whole game, you know, you feel like this is like the final story of the Arkham world's Batman life. Like,
Yeah.
oh my, it's so epic. There's so much to do. So much is happening. All these characters are interacting, like Robin and Barbara, and, you know, you've got Joker venom in you, and it doesn't die and go away. You're crazy. You're seeing Joker visions.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then you've got all these villains, and you got to fight them. It's cool. And then you have to go in your Batmobile, and you have to do things in the Batmobile. And it's just like everything else, I felt like Batman.
Yeah.
Every time I have to do Batmobile stuff, I don't feel like Batman anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like soldier number one inside tank doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then there's races, and it's just like, pull me right out of the game. I'm just like, why am I racing? Like the Riddler, the guy who is all about outsmarting Batman, about intellect, about solving riddles.
Yeah. It's his entire character.
Yeah. And in this game, he's like, you know what? I know how I'm gonna outsmart you, Batman. I'm gonna make a racetrack underground.
Like 50 racetracks.
50 racetracks in the sewers that seem to not be occupied by anything else.
Yep.
There's literally the emptiest sewers in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make a racetrack. And you have to race in that track, and you have to beat it in a certain time. And if you do, or if you don't, that means I'm smarter than you. Like, what? That doesn't make, how are you the Riddler?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense. Like, pull me right out the game. Like, you know, at the very beginning of the game, Riddler's like, I have Catwoman, and if you want to save her, you must solve all the riddles. I'm like, all right, fine, that's fun.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
made sense.
Yeah, and then you get to the racetrack, and I'm like, what? There's no riddle. It's race. And then get to the finish line in time. It's like, what? That has nothing to do with the Riddler.
Yeah.
And just, it pulls me right out the game, and every time I have to do stuff in the Batmobile, like, anytime you have to fight a boss, it's like not really a boss. You're just fighting more tanks, and it's just
when I got to Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And it was a tank battle.
Yeah.
I was beyond pissed.
It's the dumbest
I
thing in
stopped
the
playing the game
world.
after that. I was so mad at that game.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Okay, everything else, there really hasn't been a big boss fight. Maybe they saved this one for the grand finale. Big boss,
Yeah.
Deathstroke. He was behind a lot of the army and stuff. And it's just another tank fight. And you're like, well,
He's an assassin.
I've never felt less like Batman
Yeah.
than I am just riding a tank and just blowing stuff up.
Yeah, it's stupid, like the tank puzzles and stuff. Or
Yeah.
nothing about that stupid tank is fun. I hated that stupid
It's
tank.
like, you know what was one of the worst things in the world? When in the old Batman 66 series, you'd see him climbing up the side of a building.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, Robin. And he would literally talk to somebody outside of a window and be like, I'm going to go stop the bad guy. All right, see ya.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, very cartoony, very childish. 1995 Batman Forever comes out. They do the same exact thing, but with the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Batman shoots the power winch, shoots it up a building, and he rides the Batmobile up a building. And you literally do that in Arkham Knight like 50 times.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
have
so
to go
stupid.
up and down a building. I'm like, this is so dumb. I don't feel like Batman right now. I feel like not Batman. It's so
Yeah.
stupid. But yeah, so everything else about that game I really like. Everything involving the Batmobile and the Bat Tank, and it's just
Like I wish they had just taken that out and focused on dope boss fights again. It's like that's what made Arkham City so good.
That's what made Arkham City one of the best games of that generation.
Like the Mr. Freeze fight is
yeah,
so memorable.
it's fantastic. And like in a day and age where like there's not really boss fights,
Yeah.
because games are now just continuous long stories, but like there's something amazing about a boss fight. There always will be. And then you just take it out completely and just replace it with tank mode. And you're just like, well, I don't feel like Batman right now at all. So, hot take, backlog, combined.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight, again, I say a solid 7. It would have been a 10, but then the
tank.
the Batmobile and the Bat Tank.
But it still holds up pretty well outside of that.
Everything else does, yeah. The combat is still great. They introduced a lot of new things in the combat compared to like Arkham City and Arkham Origins, where they changed it up and they made it a lot harder. Like they've got dudes who can heal people and they'll come back to life, and then they'll electrocute their body, or if you touch them, you'll get shocked. So, and, that game, the combat's all about just maxing out that combo meter.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as soon as you make one mistake or you get hit, you're like, "Argh," messed it all up. So. But yeah, so I mean, it still holds up. Everything else, combat's great. I still love the dialogue and the story's interesting. It's like a final story, so it's nice. It's like it's
Really
always
looking
nice
forward
seeing
to Rocksteady's next game.
whenever that Superman game comes out
that better be what they're doing.
someday.
Maybe one day.
So
All right, that's probably it for time. I don't
Yeah.
think we have time for video game Astoria. I
Nah.
don't think so.
maybe next time.
Yeah, we'll save it for next time.
Yeah.
But that is the show. Thank you so much for everybody for checking out another episode 51.
51
In the tank now.
Yeah.
In the E-tank. We'll throw that.
sub tanks from Mega Man X. Sub tanks.
There you go.
That's what they're called.
So, if you like what we're doing, be sure to check us out every week.
Yes, please.
We come out every Tuesday with these episodes, and then every other Friday we have the bonus rounds. You can check those out at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us a couple
Shekels.
What?
Shekels.
Ooh,
Couple shekels.
Couple shekels.
Yeah.
I like that one. I was
Yeah.
trying to think of a new one. A couple
Shekels.
Couple shekels. Yeah, you can throw us a couple shekels, and you can get those bonus episodes early. But if you don't want to do that, and you hate us, and you hate the Arkham Knight series,
Especially if you hate the Arkham Knight series.
no big deal. You can check those out the following week on YouTube and iTunes and all those fun places.
Totally free.
And then you can also check us out online. We are online.
We are. We have social networks.
Yes, we do. We are at Go Multiplayer on Twitter and Instagram. We need to post more.
Yeah, we do.
Working on it. You can also check us out at our personal Twitters and all that fun stuff. I'm at Zach Matzganis, ZACKMATZGANIS. Where can we find you, Hav?
And I'm at Jumpman_Ortiz on both Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and you've been talking about like comics and stuff.
I have. I've been posting. I started going through DC Rebirth because I've been really wanting to read some DC comics, and Man, I absolutely just love some of the stories that I'm reading right now.
Well, if
Good
you
stuff.
care what he has to say about that, check him out
Yeah,
at
check
Twitter
out my Instagram and
all
Twitter.
that
Yeah,
fun stuff.
I post that stuff all the time.
Yeah. And one last quick shout out to our boy DJ CUTMAN for that sweet chiptune music for our intro and outro. That's some fun stuff.
It is.
I dig it a lot.
Good music. I got his tracks on my phone.
Nice.
Yeah. Just to listen to.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. We will see you next time. Keep on grinding. See you at the respawn. Later.
Love you, baby.
Woo. We'd like to give a big ol' special thank you to Jaden Lawrence, Arturo Madeira, and Murcha Dan Kroll-Pataru. If you want to receive shoutouts like these awesome, beautiful people, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayered. See you next time, players.